Hey my friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. I'm Melissa and in today's video I have for you 7 really easy and really delicious meal ideas that will be perfect for your family and for your meal planning. So stay tuned so you don't miss any of it. As usual, Sunday night is the easy night, and I've been craving Frosted Flakes for some reason, so we just had cereal for dinner Sunday night. You can't get any easier than that. I do some substitute teaching, and on this day I had to sub, so I just threw a pork tenderloin into the freezer with some barbecue sauce, put it on low, and let it cook all day until I got home from work. And once I got home, it probably, I don't know, I couldn't help it because I had to work all day. I probably should have added some kind of liquid to it, but it was a little burned as far as the barbecue sauce. The pork was fine, but when I got home, I just used my little meat chopper and kind of separated the pork. And I did add a little bit more barbecue sauce to it. And we have these sandwich thins that are keto sandwich thins. And I had some, so that's what we ate our barbecue pulled pork on. And I made it with some tater tots, and it was really good. It's salad night, and I'm kind of mixing it up a little bit this time. We're still having the egg in ours for some protein, still having the chicken with some blackened seasoning, but I have an avocado, some corn, some black beans, and then we have that salad kit, and this is what it looked like, and it was really good. I love these salads, as you know, so that is what we ate that night. The next night we were having a Sloppy Joe casserole with like a Jiffy cornbread topping. So I wanted to make a side with it that was not green beans. And obviously we had just had salad the night before. So I had some black-eyed peas in the freezer. So I chopped up or cut up some bacon in the little pot and let it cook for a little bit until I got some grease. Then I added the black-eyed peas to the pot. I added some water to it. I added soy sauce. I'm using the low sodium soy sauce, so it's still salty, and I don't add salt because of this, but I add the soy sauce, and I let it cook along with some brown sugar. And if you've seen me make green beans, this is pretty much the same way I make the green beans. And my husband doesn't really like black-eyed peas, but the first time I made it like this, he was like, okay, I don't like black-eyed peas, but I would eat this again. So this from now on is how I'm making my black-eyed peas. And of course I added pepper. But now for the Sloppy Joe casserole, I am browning some ground beef. Once I have it chopped up some, using my meat chopper, which I absolutely love, I'll link it below, I add in some red bell pepper and some green bell pepper, and then I let that cook in with the meat, as well as some frozen corn. And my husband's not a huge corn fan, so when I can throw it into a dish and he doesn't complain about it, I take advantage of that. So I'm just gonna let all of this continue cooking until the meat is done and the veggies start to get tender. Now I'm going to add some minced onion, and I'm probably not going to drain the ground beef because this minced onion will kind of soak in some of that liquid and I won't have to. So I'm gonna mix the minced onion in with this and let it continue cooking. And here it is all browned up. And you'll notice I'm cooking it in my cast iron skillet because rather than using another dish and transferring all of this into a casserole dish, I'm just gonna cook it in the oven in this iron skillet. Now I'm gonna add, this is a can of Manwich sauce, and I bought the bigger jar just because I wanted to make sure that I got enough, and with me adding the veggies and the corn, I didn't want it to be too dry. So I just add as much sauce as I think I need, and then I just let that simmer for just a few minutes. And there really isn't a recipe to this. I just kind of made it up of how I kind of wanted it to be, so there's no link for me to provide. But now I'm gonna make the Jiffy corn muffin mix topping, and I'm gonna use the ingredients that it calls for on the box, which is a 1/3 cup of milk and 1 egg. So I'm gonna put that in there. And then just to kind of zhuzh it up a little bit, I add 1 small container of jalapeno peppers, and I didn't drain it. I let the juice stay in there. I don't think I used all of the can, but you know, just use as much or as little as you want. And then I added maybe about a 1/2 cup of cheese, and I just mixed all of that together. And now I'm just gonna sort of flatten the ground beef mixture, and I'm gonna pour the cornbread mix on top. I'm using a 10-inch iron skillet, so I feel like this is a great size to where the corn muffin mix spreads evenly, and it's not too thick and it's not too thin. I don't like when my corn muffin mix is too thick on top of dishes like this, so the 10-inch skillet works great. All right, I've got my oven preheated to 400, so I'm just gonna put this in my oven and let it cook for, I would start checking it at about 13 minutes, but let it cook for about 13 to 15 minutes, and this is what it looks like. It smells so delicious. It was just as delicious as it smelled. The black-eyed peas were terrific, and this was a great meal. It's an easy meal to make, it's a quick meal to make, and it makes everybody happy. This next night for dinner, I'm focusing on the side dish. I bought a rotisserie chicken as our main, protein, but I wanted to make a pasta salad. For this pasta salad, I use penne pasta, I use red bell pepper, green bell pepper, and I chop them very fine. I don't like my peppers that I'm eating raw to be very big, so I try to chop them as small as I can. And I'm using about a 1/2 each of the green and the red, and then I use about 1/2 of an onion. I know this is not the proper way to cut an onion, but it's the easiest way to do it. But I use a purple onion because I like the color it gives the dish. But this pasta dish is just a creamy Italian pasta dish. My penne is ready, it's cooked, it's been drained, and so now I'm gonna chop up some cheese. You can buy cheese that's already cubed, but I had this cheese, so I figured I would just chop it up myself, and it is cheaper actually, and it tastes good. So anyway, so the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna put your pasta in a big bowl, and I'm making a lot because I plan on taking this for lunch for at least a couple of days. So that's why I made a whole bunch for just the two of us, and it's a side dish, so that's why. Then you're gonna add your onion and your red and green bell pepper, and I'm just giving this a stir just to kind of get that pasta broken up a little bit. Well, not broken up, but separated. But anyway, then I'm gonna add Cavender's seasoning. It's an all-purpose Greek seasoning, and this isn't a Greek dish, but this seasoning is so good. I use Cavender's in a lot of my dishes, but I'm gonna get that stirred up. Then I'm going to add some diced ham. This is gonna be the protein that I have when I eat this for lunch. So I went ahead and just added it, and you can add as much or as little as you want. And honestly, you can add whatever you want in this. If you want to add some bacon, some olives, you know, just whatever. It's really up for your own preferences. So then I'm gonna add some pepper, and of course we like a lot of pepper, so I add the pepper and some salt, and then I get this mixed up, and you can taste it along the way and see if you want to add more of the Cavender's seasoning, which I think I do at some point. I add a little more of the Cavender's, but then I add creamy Italian dressing, and you can use whatever brand. And for some reason, this was the only brand I could find at my Walmart was the Kraft. I usually use Wishbone, but it's fine. It tasted just as good. So I'm gonna get that mixed up, and you can add as much or as little of the dressing as you want. I do add quite a bit because I don't like dry pasta. So I get that stirred up, and I'm actually making this early in the day because I want it to sit in the refrigerator for as long as possible until dinner. I like eating this cold, and the longer it sits, the better it gets. Now I'm gonna add my cubed cheese, get that stirred up in there, and then that will be it. And this was dinner. There's those green beans, made them the same way I made the black-eyed peas, the rotisserie chicken, and the pasta salad. This meal was so satisfying and so easy to make. On this night, we're having breakfast casserole. And I've showed this before, but I will have the link in the description box. But you just put your crescent roll in the bottom of a casserole dish. You pour on top of it your breakfast sausage that you've browned and drained. Then you put 2 cups of shredded cheese on top of that and spread that out. Then you are going to take 4 eggs, and you are going to scramble those or beat them until they are well mixed. Then you're gonna add 3/4 cups of milk. You're gonna add some salt and pepper. Whisk that together real well, and once you have it whipped together real good, whisked together real good, you're just gonna pour that on top of the sausage and cheese layer, and you just try to pour it on there as evenly as possible. And that is it. It is very simple to put together, very quick. Now you're just gonna let it cook in the oven, and once it comes out, this is what it looks like. It is so good, and I served it up with some bacon. It made my husband very happy because he loves breakfast. But I'll have this recipe linked in my description box below, so check it out. It really is very delicious. And for this last meal, I am making some meatloaf. My son was coming over for dinner. So I have 2 pounds of ground beef, and I probably should have used a bigger mixing bowl, but it works out fine. And I hate dealing with touching this with my hands, so I try to use that meat chopper. I used 1 egg, and the recipe that I used, and I'll have it linked below, called for 1.5 pounds of ground beef, so I probably should have added 2 eggs, but I add a pack of Lipton onion soup mix, some milk, and I'm following the recipe very loosely. And then it calls for some Worcestershire sauce. And I think what I had was about enough, but I'm out, so I gotta add that to my grocery list. And then you're gonna add some Italian seasoning, some garlic, and some pepper, and some salt. And then you are going to get that mixed up, start mixing it up. Like I said, I don't like handling this with my hands, so I'm doing it the best I can with my hand, or my meat chopper. Anyway, then you add some panko breadcrumbs, and I probably didn't have enough, especially for 2 pounds. So I had just a few crackers, so I crumbled those up and got them as fine as I could and mixed those in as well. I did add a little bit more milk just because of me having more ground beef. So I get the crackers in there and then I keep mixing it up. Now I have my casserole dish sprayed, and so I'm just gonna put my meat mixture into my casserole dish and get it flattened out. Now I don't like making meatloaf as an actual loaf, so that's why I put it in a casserole dish. So it's more flat than a loaf would be, but that's just the way we like it. Now the recipe does call for you to put the glaze on top now and let it cook the whole time, but I don't do that. I like to let my meatloaf cook first and then I add the glaze when there's about 10 minutes left. To make the glaze, I just mix ketchup and brown sugar and I pour it on top. There is a recipe in the description box for the glaze that's in the Meatloaf Recipe, but I just made it the way I always make it, and it's just basically ketchup and brown sugar. But I let it cook for about 10 more minutes, and then our meatloaf was done. And this was so good. I served it with some English peas, some mashed potatoes and gravy, and some macaroni and cheese. And it was delicious, and my son loved it. And that's it for my meals for the week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got some ideas for your meal planning. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would click that subscribe button, click the bell button so you don't miss any of my videos, and if you want more dinner ideas, check out the box you see on the screen right now, and I'll see you next time. Bye.